YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk about what is a business analyst and what do they do. I'm a business analyst myself and I work for a software company, but business analysts and the role of a business analyst is very wide and it can be anything depending on where you work, but it's a really rewarding role and I'd really love to shed some light on what the role entails today. So the main role of a business analyst is to improve processes, suggest solutions, and do this based on analyzed research and data-driven decisions and talking with customers, talking with the business and anybody that you're working for. So what does that look like? Well, for me as a business analyst, I work on a whole bunch of different projects and each of those projects have different stakeholders. So at the beginning of a project, you tend to do some research to understand what the project is entailing and what the end goal is. And then you have to figure out how to get there. So usually you do some research, have a look online, what else is out there, do some competitor analysis. You might talk to some of these stakeholders to understand what they want out of the project and what the end goal is for them. And these stakeholders could be anything from your boss to a customer that your company has. It could be an end user that uses whatever the project or product is that you have, or whoever is affected by the project. And through this, you'll understand what they want and you'll create a list of requirements. Sometimes it's not as simple as just writing up a list of requirements. Sometimes customers or stakeholders will tell you what their pain is or what they're not enjoying or what they're struggling with. And from that, you'll have to deduce or analyze what a solution might be or a requirement might be from that discussion. I might do another video purely about being data-driven and what that looks like, but you know, analytics and numbers, it's very much a good way to make decisions without having any bias or any subconscious thought about what a solution might look like based on what you think it should be. It's all about having that solution and having a suggestion for the business based on what they need and based on what works. So absolutely talking about facts and making sure no bias gets in the way of that. So as a business analyst, your role is very much about bridging the gap between IT and technical things and software and solutions and the actual stakeholders, so that might be a business or a customer. Where I work and the job that I do, mine is very much internal stakeholders, so I'm a business analyst for the business. So I make sure that the internal processes that we follow are the best that they can be, they're industry standard, that they're producing good results, and that then those results are measurable. So for example, if I say this is a process that we need to follow, I need to continue to monitor that process and make sure that the suggestion that I've given is actually doing and producing the results that we expected it to. So what do you have to be a business analyst? You have to be data driven, you have to be organized, you have to be prepared to communicate with all different kinds of people and make sure you get the right outcomes out of those conversations. You have to think analytically, understand data, read analytics and deduce solutions from that. You have to be able to talk with people, understand their needs and be able to reflect that in your project and your solution. Ultimately, you really need to be willing to help. A business analyst is a very helpful role. It helps people. The end goal of your role is to make something better for somebody else. How much do we earn? And obviously with every role it depends where you're starting. So if you're a junior or a graduate level, you're going to be earning a lot less than someone who's a senior level and been in the industry for a long time. So that kind of depends, and it also depends where you're living as well. So I'm living in Brisbane, Australia, so what I earn would be very different from somebody who's living in San Francisco, for example. And it also depends what company you're working for. So if you're working for a startup or if you're working for a really, really big business, and how profitable that business is as well. So there's lots of contributing factors to what a business analyst might earn. But if I have a look at some data or some numbers online that were put together by Robert Half, so it's a salary guide for 2021. And this is for Australia only. And if we look at the technology salaries for a business analyst, they've got 4 different levels of what a business analyst could be. So very, very, very senior to very, very, very junior. And for a business analyst, it ranges from $75,000 a year to $120,000 a year. Now that's just for a business analyst. If you get a promotion and you become a senior business analyst, you can be earning anything from $130,000 to $150,000. And then again, a technical business analyst, so incorporating more of the technical side of things, you could be earning anything from $80,000 to $125,000 over those 4 levels. So I will link this salary guide below if you want to have a deep dive into any of those roles or other similar roles. But Robert Half's salary guide is a really interesting way to get an idea of what a business analyst looks like in Australia, talking about salary wise. So that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. I hope you found this really interesting. As you can probably tell, a business analyst role is quite varied. It really depends. I know, for example, people at my work, a business analyst in my team is very different to somebody else in another team, and that's in the same company. So it really just depends where you're working, what you're working on, who you're working with, as to what your role looks like. But I highly encourage anybody who's studying IT or studying business to look into a role like this, because it can lead you in so many different directions, and it's actually a lot of fun, particularly if you're a people person, because you work with a lot of people. So thank you very much for watching my video today. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you soon.